A lot of folks are out there syndicating. You're not, and there's nothing wrong with either strategy, but they are very different. And not syndicating is definitely not new, but it's probably a little bit more of the outlier these days. The question of the hour is, what should investors, meaning the passive investors, do when considering a syndication? If you also want to pivot that to considering a passive investment, because if you're taking on private money to get into these deals, like your opportunity, since you're not syndicating, it's still kind of it's the same thing or similar. So what should passive investors do before considering getting into a multifamily deal?
Yeah, sure. I think that is a very important answer because everyone now seems to want to jump into syndicating, but nobody really talks about the passive investment side. I think if you were to ask me if I were to invest passively in a deal, I would want to know that there is a strong operator with skin in the game. A lot of gurus out there right now are preaching, hey, syndicate with no money. You can put a deal together, and the old if there's a good enough deal, there's money to be found. That's not entirely true, and I would be wary of syndicators that actually treat their deal like that. So what I would do as a passive investor is actually just look for skin in the game, maybe have them bring in their own money to the table. Obviously, make sure that you're underwriting the deal independently of what you're given. I've seen a lot of inflated OMs and prospectus out there. And it just kind of, it just brings about the same thing that I always preach, which is like, why even go down that road if you can just, actively invest. So do it yourself in a smaller apartment complex. And, it's been proven time and time again that it can be much more profitable in a shorter amount of time. So,
yeah, I mean, because a lot of operations, a lot of syndications have a traditional private equity split, 80-20, where the investors are getting 80, the operators are getting 20. It's a lot of work. Of course, the strategy there is scale. It makes sense. But there's also a lot to be said with just taking it all on yourself, doing something smaller and taking it all on yourself. And, I've said for years that, hey, you can become a real estate millionaire by as little as 3 single family houses. You just got to let your tenant pay them off. So having 1, 2, or 3 small multifamily, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of skin in the game?
What I say is a little different, and I'm gonna cut from a different cloth, Chris, because I always say, look, it's not about AUM. It's not about how many units you could possibly humanly own. It's about how much of those units you own, And so for me, I always advise my clients to always buy 100%, even if it's a 4-plex, an 8-plex. I can give you plenty of examples where an 8-plex has brought me over $500,000 of profit in less than a year. That's something that's not found in syndication. It's certainly not found in passive investments. So I really move away from the whole returns will make you rich kind of adage. They won't. I think returns are only a wealth maintainer, while forced appreciation and active investments is a wealth generator. So it's certainly cut from a different cloth, but I think I have plenty of experience to show that it's actually true.
Yeah, you certainly have the experience, and you're doing it. Our first investment property or multifamily, we took that down 100% using private financing, but it was all us. It was a very, at the time, I think we were like 25. It was a very humbling experience, or maybe it was like 29. But in any case, so skin in the game, you talked about that. It's important. Real estate investing, the no money down deal, it's hot topic. It's really how most people get involved in real estate, or the reason why. And so no money down deal, the reason why it's so attracting is because they have no money.
Right.
Now, that's not necessarily bad. Like, everyone has to start somewhere. Does that mean you need to start with the $2.5 million apartment complex?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what kind of, because no money down also doesn't, it's not necessarily bad, but it's something to consider as far as risk management for the passive investor. What do you recommend investors, like if they're going to go into a syndication, or even if it's completely 100% like how you have it, what kind of skin in the game should they look for, or maybe even just ask questions with what do you generally look for or recommend?
Oh, thank you for a second there, but I think I get your point. What should they look for is certainly, I think, a healthy amount of skin in the game. That is their own money being brought to the table. A lot of other investors like to just charge a fee for the syndicating, right? The sponsor fee, and then donate that or give that right back to the deal as their own skin in the game. But honestly, that's not skin in the game for me. That's not good enough. I think if I were to passively invest, I would need to see a lot more. Maybe somebody that brings in more money than me. And I do want to say one thing, which is after I've been doing this active investments for so long and just focusing on 100% owned deals, all of my entities are single member entities owned by me. I don't really take on any partners, but because I've been doing it for so long, the cool side effect that I've seen recently is that there are groups of syndication folks that are coming to me and wanting somebody with a strong resume, with a strong personal financial statement, strong
balance sheet,
experience. I had recently, last year, I sold a property in March to 4 individuals who were pretty well off individuals. They wanted to buy an apartment complex from me, but they were not approved by Freddie Mac because they did not have the necessary experience or net worth. So they had to bring me back as a partner, as a very small, minute partner, just so I can just, have them meet their qualifications. So I see that, and it's a very cool side effect of just doing this for so long, where I've just kind of built up a robust personal financial statement with enough experience, so people can realize and then bring that deal to me, and then just say, hey, here's 20% of a deal. Just all we need is your signature, no money into it. That's a pretty cool way to syndicate.
So I think I briefly told that story whenever we were speaking on stage together. That's what I wish Jamie and I did when we first got into our first deal. So we went in 100% because we can keep 100% of the pie, but we also had a lot of inexperience running a property of that size. It worked out really well because we bought it so ridiculous, like $19,000 a door. Like it's just so ridiculously cheap. Like it's almost unbelievable today.
Sure.
So we knew going in that, hey, we bought it cheap enough where we could screw up, make a lot of mistakes, and still make a lot of money. So in the 20s, we did exactly that. Walked away, made over $100,000, which wasn't bad for our 20s.
Right.
So in any case, but had we gone to someone like you or someone who is experienced and just said, hey, look, got this deal, it's all ready to go. I would actually how would you consider, what do you think about maybe doing a partnership on this, so you can, we can leverage your experience, and we'll sit back and, as from the person bringing the deal, we'd get the benefit of invaluable operational experience by observation, and also a little bit of boots on the ground, right?
Right, of course. Yeah, so I see the value in it, and I see the value in reaching out to somebody who's actually, has the experience to show these lenders, because it comes down to actually, the lender approving the whole structure, that you can do the deal. And so with beginning syndicators, I think that they will eventually reach out to somebody like me if they don't have the experience themselves. But then, does that person have any skin in the game? You see what I mean? Like for me, I just bring a signature, and I've been promised 20% of the deal before. That sort of makes me uneasy. The particular deal that I'm thinking about was with the sponsor bringing a large amount of funds, but being a KP or key principal or key partner, on deals like this, I think is very important. But for the passive investor investing in these type of structures, just look at the structure of who is actually bringing skin in the game, And if not, just always kind of think, hey, there's always active investments for me. I don't have to own 1% of 2,000 units. That's really not wealth. That's just showing off how many units you own, right?
Love it. Love it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Boris. It was a pleasure having you on. Look forward to seeing you again at one of these networking events.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.